Aloha mai kako, beautiful souls. I am so delighted and honored to be here with one of my soul sisters, Joanna Lynn Steffel. Joanna, aloha.
Aloha, aloha.
And our beautiful paintings, our beautiful expressions of our hearts and our journeys. We'll get more into that soon.
I missed it.
So Joanna, before we get started, may I just introduce you a little more formally and share your bio? Okay, cool. So Joanna Lynn Steffel is an artist and author. She is a creativity and expression coach and guide, and an academic as well. She's done a lot of studies in the field of psychology and theology. And they have been obsessed with stories since they're itty bitty and love seeing the interconnectedness of the stories of this earthly experience. Joanna identifies as a queer Catholic mystic and is the business owner and community leader of Beautifully Chaotic Mystics. And that empire, or that container, so to speak, Beautifully Chaotic Mystics, it's an inclusive coexistence community for people of all walks of life who are looking to walk the beauty way and learn wisdom from all the traditions out there and navigate an ever-changing and evolving world. And we're going to speak specifically to that today, and why now is like the moment for Joanna and her work to really come into the fold, and for her to really like this embodiment process that she's been on. So Joanna, did I miss anything?
Yeah, I think that we're going to focus on that piece of my identity of mystic today. So I feel like that's going to be our guide into the journey of me becoming a published author, and how I've used intentional creativity and really being in this space of being a mystic has really led to one of my like itty bitties dream fulfillment. So when I was really young, my parents let me be part of this. It was called Young Authors uh workshop kind of thing. And so I went to it, and I can remember sitting in the space of it, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna become a published author. I thought I was gonna be 60 some when this shit happened. Here I am.
Well, you're one of the youngest authors in this compilation, right?
I am. So I'm really
You didn't have
excited.
to wait till 60, girl.
I didn't. I'm amongst some very wise women. And the fact that I got to be part of this project really speaks to me too, that like I've always kind of been an old soul and kind of wise beyond my years. So I'm kind of glad that I get to speak into some wisdom that came to me even when I was in college and undergrad.
Well,
That's
let's get into that. So the book is called Fierce Awakenings, and I would love to hear, why Fierce Awakenings and why now, and how, you can also give us some backstory if you'd like at this point, like how you came into this experience of Fierce
it's been
Awakenings.
a journey. It really has been a journey. So the full title is Fierce Awakenings: The Courage and Confidence to Walk Life's Spiral Path. And I literally kind of had this knowing, very much in my mystical spirit energy at the beginning, well, towards the end of last year, beginning of the year in January, and I knew I was supposed to get back into my writing. And it was so funny. I was like looking a little bit at some like notes, and I had found like a sketch that I'm going to share that for a moment, of this, like, this is my mystic energy, and really came through. And it said to be seen as a writer and having fun with my myth. And the other thing that came through in the meditation was, I trust whatever, however, it is to emerge the story of me. And I was like, I don't know what any of this means. And I think that's part of the mystic path. Davey and I were sharing before we hopped on, of just like the multi-dimensional layeredness piece of how things come to us through meditation, through our other creative processes that can make things come and emerge to the forefront.
Yeah, I love that you're weaving that in now. That this is a tapestry of experience, right? And I believe we are in a time of fierce awakenings. So apropos title for the book, so cool. That
Appropriate title for me.
I know, right? Well, I mean, you're sharing of your own direct experience, right? And yeah, so many people around the planet are going through this birthing canal, and perhaps even a death before the birth of dying away to like these parts of ourselves that have needed to go to the fire, to that purification, that fiery element that is very fierce, right? And I would love to hear, if you feel it would be relevant to share any of like where you were before this journey started, or I mean, it sounds like you've been on it your whole life, of course, but
Yeah.
what have been some of those moments, and if you're willing to share like maybe a little hint to what you're sharing about in the book too.
Yeah.
Anything
So
around
yeah, so I just kind of had this energy of like, oh, like I've always had the secret dream, right? The secret dream that like I'm not gonna tell nobody about. And so I just kind of like was in community, in my creative community, sharing kind of like, I don't know what this means. And I quite often try to make something mean something when it comes in like that. I'm like, I'm just gonna do this kind of slowly. I'm just going to slow the path down a little bit and just see what emerges, right?
and
And
you're
so,
referring to this message that you just shared with us, yeah?
yeah, and I was just kind of like, I don't like something did come in of like this piece of like the authorship.
Okay.
The big scary piece came in
Yeah.
of like, you're going to be writing, like, you're going to be published. That already came in with it. And I was like, okay, yes, and I'm like, thank you, spirit, yes, and also this needing this kind of pause button. And it's so funny because the title of my chapter is called The Sacred Pause. And so like I'd been going through a lot of just life changes and like I don't know what, but I know that like what are things that helped me in the past was journaling, writing, and like expressing myself in that way. And so I was like, spirit, like, yes, and because I'm like, not but, just yes, and let me put the pause button on. And it was through like when the project came to me, I knew instantly. Like, I was one of the last people to sign up for the project. It was like 2 days and like, hey, hun, this is for you. Right. And I even tried to resist the call when Jen I was like, put me on for volume 2. Like, it's just not the right time. She's like, no, it's the right time. We'll work out. My biggest concern was the finances. Like, how am I going to manifest this in like 2 days? Like, how is this all going to happen? And she's like, okay, if that's the only hang up, we'll work with that. So I was like, okay. So I was like, all right, we're doing this. It's just kind of what happened. And I was like, and as soon as I read the prompt for it, I was like, yes, this is for me. And I already knew what I was going to write about. I already knew what the chapter was going to be about. So it wasn't like all of this like anxiety that maybe some of the other authors part of the book. I was like, I knew I was supposed to become a published author. I knew that was supposed to be part of it. I thought my published authorship was going to be a solo project. So I thought it was going to be bigger. So that was kind of, this like emerging in a different way than I could imagine coming forward. So I was like, okay, this is like a small step. This is like kind of a little bit like getting my feet wet and then knowing that like it's just time.
Yeah,
It's just
I love it. And it sounds to me like, in a way, that the book itself and the prompt and like the saying yes is a part of your fierce awakening in a way, because you are
part of this year, a year of very many fierce awakenings. I joke with Jen and the other co-authors saying, like I didn't know that like this project was going to create so many fierce awakenings.
Mhm. I see that. I see
And
that.
I have to just acknowledge you and thank you, Dewi, for doing this interview because you've been such a big pivotal point of that
Mm,
uh, journey, of that journey. I
yeah.
I love telling stories of how people meet and
Yes,
how,
you want to tell our origins? Let's tell our
let's
origin story.
tell our origin story. You want to start or you want me to?
Sure, sure. So as you can see, and I've already alluded to our beautiful paintings, and these paintings have all been channeled through our soul beingness through very specific containers using a method called intentional creativity. And I was introduced, both of us, Joanna and I, were introduced to intentional creativity. Our first experiences with it, I knew about it before, but our first experiences with it were through a dear sister, Amber Quile Mailani Bonici, who is also based here in Hawaii. And so Joanna and I believe I was assisting on one of Amber's.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
we're a doctor on
I was an
her.
art doctor, which is like what art doctors are, like the support team who's sitting in, holding space, also going through the experience. One thing that's really cool about this is that the facilitator of intentional creativity processes is going through the process alongside each of the women. And then the paintings come out as unique as like all of what you're seeing here. This is not like your mama's paint and sip, right? This is like a deep, profound, like revelational process that I
Transformational.
have come to find is so magnificent, for us to have this way that we can, as we go through our own fierce awakenings, have a way to go through and make sense of our experience and receive the message and the multidimensional codes, really, frankly, that are here for us, that we're here to anchor in and that we're here to embody, while we're here on the planet right now, here and now. So, Joanna, yeah, what do you want to add to this?
Well, I want to add that the painting behind Dewi is the one that caught my eye while she was, and I just was like, I was being bold and brave, and I was like, I like what she's doing. And as she was starting to paint the circles, I was like, girl, are you painting Metatron's cube? Because I'm like, pretty sure that you are. And I love you just because of that. That's really kind of how our relationship started. And the thing is that that was my first time ever doing the painting. I don't know if you knew that, Dewi.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So my actual painting that I painted with Dewi and Amber is on loan. So I have a picture here. But she was a beautiful, and this was the first painting that I've ever done as an adult. And as someone, when I finished it, I felt like this is a masterpiece. This is like for real. Like this is something that like I'm really proud of, like, and want to share with the world, and kind of that energy. And so really, being connected in with Amber and her community since 2017 has really unleashed me, opened me in multiple different ways, and has brought this creativity element back to me. And then after this, we decided to have a conversation, and we were like, okay, what are you doing in the world? And then it turned into the unfolding of me being in Dewi's containers, both Sovereign Creatrix and now Rebel Heart, and so much growth, so much just space held for this emergingness to come through.
Yes. So
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah. And like that purification that, like, I feel is really necessary, like it as much as needed these days, like for us to, like, even in these containers that I've held and Amber has held and Joanna holds as well, through her offerings, like that there can be like real magic that unfolds. And as a medium, creativity, I mean, there's so many mediums within creativity, but as a overlay of, like, I guess as a technology, even for us to be able to process, release trauma and process emotions and allow the revelation of who we truly are, and to like surprised and delighted even ourselves with like what comes through. Like it's just such a beautiful unfolding. And then little a little birdie wants to share that Joanna also, through Rebel Heart Creatrix Mind, recently created a beautiful track.
Yeah.
A creative modality that she hadn't really played with much before. You want to share about that?
I mean, on the spot. Yeah.
I didn't think we were going to talk about this, but
yes. So I think at some point in this video or on my link tree, I'm still amongst the like creating what this all is, but I knew when Dewi and I were sitting down kind of planning out what was going to be coming up for Rebel Heart and what each month we were going to be covering. I knew that this one was going to be the most reach for me. And challenging, but also like really excited me. And I didn't realize that until we started playing with BandLab that like I used to play around when I was like 16, 17, like when we just got computers, there was like mixers and stuff that was on the computer, and I made shit music. Like I made shit. I know I'm glad that like all of that data is lost to the ether somewhere, but I was like, okay. So the technology wasn't so much new. It was really this piece of the taking the courage and the confidence to say, I'm just going to play with this. And so my beautiful cosmic mama that Dewi and I painted, you said in February, right?
Yeah, this past
February. This past February. I have been, working with her throughout. Got a piece that's fallen off. We'll fix that. Have been working with her and doing her embellishments. And I had finally like finished her hair and was like, okay, I want to do the message piece, which is the big thing that happens in these retreats, or in the process of doing this intentional creativity, is what is the message that's speaking. And she had a message to come forward. It came forward very clear and concise. And so I've been doing a little bit of different things with it. And then when we got to this part in Rebel Heart to do the BandLab and creating and mixing, she was like, I want this to come through as our dear sister Allison calls it, an audioscape. Because I was like, it's not really a song.
Yes, it's like to me it's like a performance art expression, kind of it's almost like your beat poet piece, like
I found when we were going through it, I found some TikTok that was like this beat poet. I was like, this is exactly what it is. This is me. This is who it is.
It's like your beat poet phase, and it's so beautiful. And so now your cosmic mother has her own audioscape.
Yes.
That
and
is
be paired with a visual scape too. So I don't know if it's going to be just her or if it's going to be her sisters and different parts of flashing. So that's why it's still in the marinade
still, but this is like part of this method of intentional creativity that we love and is so near and dear to our hearts, is now something we are playing with in the music production world. So this is a new piece that has come in for me that is like also very much like a meld of like all my skills, gifts, and talents and past work with songwriting and playing with music production as well in the past. And so, I just want to acknowledge you for jumping in full, arms open wide, and really taking the project like to a place that is just what we've been talking about, this multi-dimensional soundscape of it's really cool. I still need to listen to it with headphones on.
Yes, because and I expert Dewi giving me tips and tricks. She's like, try doing some like, because I was like, I kind of want some ASMR kind of situation here. She's like, you can turn it to just be in one ear, one the other, different parts of the track. It was like,
yeah,
and like once you get me that, I was like, I was all geeked out.
Panning of the sound and the yeah. Yeah, so this, this is the fun that we have together, and part of like why I love playing with you so much is that you just dive right in, and yeah, your story of how you've come into being a published author now, and this whole spiral path. Like, is there anything else you want to share about like that what that's been like for you, or any of your transmissions around the spiral path energy?
Yeah, when you say that spiral path piece, and it became very evident as because I was still working on Cosmic Mama after the project came in, and like the biggest, like this piece, like something that's been kind of happening in my art and in my painting is that there is the speaking of like now, not now, like that pause, and I've done the process enough. And it's one thing to do it like in a 3-day experience or a 2-day experience or 1-day experience. It's another thing to layer the experience. And so that's kind of the great thing of being able to have it on demand too, is that you can do it in a way that just matches the rhythm of your life, which is something that's very important to me. And like, I don't know that you know this, because I don't think I've told you this, but I didn't add the labyrinth on. I knew that that was part of it, and I always take very detailed notes from the meditation and know when the elements and whatever. But I put that on after the first conversation with Jen, and being like, this is what I'm going to tell my story to be about. And so this is just like this piece of like co-weaving my art and the backstory and the meaning making, like that piece, like, oh, it makes me cry. And I shared that with my sisters when we did our cover reveal. I was like, I just added that, and like that intention of like, this is part of what Cosmic Mama wants for me,
So yeah, I love that. I love that you're continue to work your process and work, the magic of these sacred, like totems,
That's
frankly.
what I really see them as, as someone who's Catholic, I really look at them as Madonnas, or
Mm,
as
I love that.
or iconography for me. Like, these
Mm.
are snapshots of where I am in that moment. And I, before on the call, so this is my sovereign creatrix. I had to put her up to the screen today, because she's changed since we finished.
Yeah.
And so that's like, that's one of those things too. It's like, you can choose to be done, or you can choose to not. And one of the things that I've been kind of really speaking about since probably June of last year is this idea of choose your own adventure, right? And choose, you can choose whatever pathway that you go. And one of the things that I give as advice for anybody who's on the adventure of the spiral path of life is that you can unchoose a choice. And so,
Mm.
there's been some unchoosing of some choices even just in the last year. And yet, there is this other piece of like, that we still have to keep choosing. Like, we don't have to have this destined path. We don't have to have this, like, the story's already written for us, that we get to sometimes it's about being brave and courageous and having the confidence to do a divergent path. And I had no clue. I had no clue that this was happening this year. I was telling Daly that before we hopped on. I was like, nope, did not know that 2023 was Joanna Lynn Steffel becoming a published author.
Yes, I know. Yeah, and it sounds like there's more to come. And I would love to start to just bring our time here and now for
Yep.
now to a close, because we have actually more in the works, Joanna and I, for the rest of the year. So
Yes.
a little seed planted for that. including the next Painting Vision Quest, which is called Mystic Matriarch, coming up at the end of the month.
So excited about.
And
So
Joanna's going to be holding down the online space and joining us. It's an in-person and online experience. And so, yeah, that is just like one of the fun things we have coming up. And we have another interview coming up in the fall.
Yep. Excited about that. And then for me, October is gonna be busy.
Yeah, tell us about when the launch is and just like how we can kind of stay in touch and abreast of what's unfolding for you.
All right. Well, in the description of this video will be my link tree. So that would be the best way for you to stay in contact. That's where all my social media is at. And some, heartfelt goodies.
Join her beautifully chaotic mystics group on Facebook too.
Yeah. And there'll be a link there for you to be able to join. That's where I play a lot, is on Facebook, but I'm expanding my channel. So that's something that has also come from Spirit this year, is that the message is to spread wider. So yeah, so there will be a link to my link tree. So that's the best way to keep up to date on new happenings and all of that. And then book launch is going to be on the September 21st, which will be a couple days after my 38th birthday, which is on the 17th.
Yes, so it'll be Virgo season soon.
It will be Virgo season soon.
Although we got to fully live up Leo right now. We're not trying to like, fast forward or anything.
No. But yeah, it'll be released right near the equinox. So kind of purposefully did that. And then during full moon in Libra, I will be speaking at the Fierce Awakenings Women's Conference, which is tied to the book, and there will be other beautiful people there, but this will be the inaugural year of announcing the book. This has been the project of Jen for the last couple of years, has been the conference, and then now incorporating it in the book. So that'll be taking place October 12th through the 16th. And if you want to sign up for that, that'll be all the information will be in the link tree to do that. There's going to be a lot of different goodies. We're going to be meet the authors, and we're all going to have our own speaking. I will be doing a creative process, doing some doodling and sketching, and teaching you about your trailblazing voice. So
I love that. I'm looking forward to that. Yay. Oh my gosh. Well, anything else that wants to come through? Is like Cosmic Mother have anything to say to us, or as we wrap, like whatever else you would love to share? I'm all for it.
Like I said, I mean, basically she's saying that if you're interested in the audioscape, follow the link tree, because that's where that's going to be at here soon. And then book will be available on Amazon. Also hearing that it'll be available at Barnes & Noble too. So
beautiful. Yay. Yeah. And this is like the prequel to that launch happening. So Joanna and I wanted to hop on and just celebrate the moment and the announcement, and also be in this beauty way path and share about our beautiful journey together and her fierce awakening. And just to share, like, through all the turmoil and uncertainty and the death and rebirth process happening on our planet right now, there is ample need for us to celebrate beauty and to give ourselves what we need to express, to be fully expressed during these times, by sharing our voice through writing, speaking, painting, music, whatever expression, movement, just to really give yourself that gift of exploration and discovery.
Yeah. I guess one more thing, because she wants to say the sacred pause, to highlight the sacred pause a little bit, and just a little backstory on the chapter piece, is that the backstory is that I fell and broke my ankle the first week of classes in university. And it was a journey to get to that university. I had chosen a different school that was really not a good fit. The whole experience was just not a really good fit. And then I was so excited, so happy to be there, and really felt ready. And then first day of classes, I break my leg and had 13 weeks of a sacred pause. And I made a very powerful choice in that moment. Instead of being pissy and mad and angsty, because this was right before my 21st birthday, of like, what am I going to do with this time? And so during that time, I had told myself, I'm always going to read the Bible. And I did get back into my journaling. And so what I did is I did a lot of prayer journaling, and part of the chapter, there is a snapshot of one of my journal entries during the process, and just kind of the whole journey of, this happening and a powerful choice. And then the third scene is about me going back onto campus and saying, okay, I don't know. There's a lot of unknown of like, what's going to happen on my journey, but this is the choice that I'm making in this moment, which in all honesty, actually then set another spiral of like me changing my minor, me coming back to my faith, and to my faith tradition, and deciding to study theology, which is a story for another day.
Yeah, one of these, like if I'm looking at the labyrinth, it's almost like it has quadrants, it's like one of the spirals off that like leads you back to the center, right? That beautiful kind of sacred geometry.
Have you ever walked a labyrinth, darling? Have you walked one like this?
I believe that it might be there might be one on the island, and there's another one that I want to walk soon that I just found out about that's here. Yeah.
Yeah, the labyrinth that is very personal, like, and I love that it is that quadrant. I've walked, actually both the labyrinths that I've walked have been in this style. There's other one, I guess I've walked at 3 different ones, so they've all been the same the same one. So there is that piece of like journeying where you may feel like that you're off course, but you're really still on course type thing.
Right. I love that. I love that it's like all contained in the whole. And then it's like, yeah, I'm in this little zone right now. And then it's like back to center. And then, like at the end, you end up right in the center, right? But it's
Right where
always
you're
coming
supposed
close.
to be going.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, well, I love you so much, sister. Thank you for this time together, and many blessings and light ahead for this amazing journey, this fierce awakening journey you continue to navigate with your trailblazer energetic and your I love how you're really refining your identity to like also who you serve, and how you're going to be continuing to like open up your arms to the community and the people that really can most benefit from this, I believe, mystic focus.
Yeah. And that's what, the next interview that I will be releasing in this series of 3, because Dewi's courageously and beautifully decided to give me the space to have her do the opening. The next one will be talking about the fierce awakening of coming into my identity even more, and more about why the story, why that story, and why now. And then the final one will be talking mostly about my Catholic and queer identity. So yeah, but yeah, I love that you brought the mystic piece forward. So,
Yay. Well, I love you, and I will see you again soon.
yes, and I would love to give my blessing before we go today.
Yes, I love this.
So I say peace to you, and 10,000 blessings today and every day. And until we meet again, namaste.
Namaste. Aloha. We came
No.
here for this. Woo-hoo. Thank you, sister.